the meeting, so we'll try to make that as smooth as possible. Anyway, the land acknowledgement. As we gather today, we acknowledge that Eureka, California is ancestral territory of the Wiyot people. We honor all indigenous people, territories, and sovereign governments that share governance within Humboldt County, California. We gather with respect and gratitude to these indigenous people. We thank and honor the indigenous caretakers of this land who continue to cherish and protect it. Their elders have instructed the young to consider the 7 generations ahead as they continue to protect the rights of the land and all the people who live on it. We encourage all to align with and follow the lead of local indigenous communities as they steward the land and protect all of its natural resources. We'll pause for a moment of silence. At this time, are there any adjustments to the agenda that anybody would like to add? Okay. And yes, attendance, I'm sorry. Yeah. Off to a good start. What'd you call?
I'll call it attendance. Bird here. And Rick.
Yeah.
Carol here. Larry.
Yes.
Jim.
There.
Peter. Guy. Lisa is on Zoom.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hi, Lisa. Hi, Lisa. I think that is Mrs. Jamie. Is she absent or
Who?
Jamie?
Just absent.
Absent. Okay.
Okay.
And I think that's it.
Okay, thank you. Next item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes of the November meeting. Are there any comments on the minutes?
Yes, and I sent them to you moments ago.
Yes, I saw. Okay, then we'll consider the minutes approved as presented. An announcement about tonight, because of some technical problems, Tina Taylor was going to do a presentation about human trafficking. She will postpone that until the January 2nd. Under communications and chair notes, I have just 2 things to make you aware of. On Tuesday morning, I read a statement to the Board of Supervisors and received their proclamation for Human Rights Awareness Month. My statement that I made to them was also repeated on Wednesday night to the Arcata City Council, basically bringing to their attention that Humboldt County is a sanctuary county and reminding them that it's not just the words that they authorized in 2018, but the action that they take now that matters. And we will be discussing this a little bit further along in the meeting. I had no emails or regular mail to report.
Yeah. Treasurer's report?
And we haven't finished.
Is there more that we
Yeah,
need?
they said they were gonna notify you or I to come back down. He said he had to prepare the paperwork. Or I could go back down and sign.
Well, then I will do that tomorrow. And get that done. Okay, well, we'll postpone any report until we can get our paperwork together. Okay.
That seems wise.
Thank you, Carol.
I have an announcement.
Yes, go
I
ahead.
just wanted to mention that the Friends of the Dunes have returned land to the Wiyot tribe. And I hope I'm pronouncing this correctly. Digga Woodtuckle. You can look it up online and get the pronunciation of it, but it's something that's been in the works for quite a while. And this land, it's over 300 acres that's been returned to the Wiyot people. And I think we should perhaps do something. I don't know, ask the Board of Supervisors to congratulate the Friends of the Dunes for doing this, or whatever. I just think, when people do something that we approve of, I think we should tell them and let them know that we like that, so.
You think that would
Habitat out there too, a beautiful environment, you know.
Do you think that would qualify as a rapid response opportunity?
Probably. I guess we could, we could do it too. We could just, do the rapid response and also ask the board of
Or
supervisors.
it could go out as a statement from us, but also to the board.
Yes. I would like to see that done if we can.
If you would provide me some of the basic information, I'd be more. I knew you'd have it handy. I'll be glad to compose it and then put it out for review.
I really think that would be a good thing for us to do. And I will have another announcement, but I would like to wait until our guests speak.
Okay, great, thank you. At this time, it would be appropriate to do public comment on non-agenda items. If there is somebody that would like to do that, I see one hand. Okay, I hope you're unmuted. Sean, would you like to go ahead? You have 3 minutes.
Aloha. I just wanted to say hi. I hope you can hear me.
Yes.
Fantastic. I just want to thank the commission for your hard work. I so much appreciate what you're doing. I'm here really just as an individual resident of Eureka and Humboldt County. I'm particularly interested. I will just ask for your attention to an ongoing area that I know the commission's been involved with of accountability for the police and the sheriff's office, and the formation of that new advisory or whatever that new committee is going to be. I'll be interested to hear, and I'll be looking to this commission, I guess, to stay abreast of the developments in that area, if I'm, or unless you direct me somewhere else. I think there's important work for us to do as a community in terms of surveillance technology, surveillance self-defense. When you bring up the awareness of us being a sanctuary county, I think a lot of that has to do with people feeling safe and having your privacy invaded or taken for advantage of is one of those basic, to me, a fundamental human right of privacy is should be baked into the way that we manage our law enforcement activities. So I just thought I'd share that comment, and mostly I just want to thank you all for your strong work for our community, and I appreciate you very much. Aloha.
Thank you. Any other public comment online? Okay, fine.
Yes.
That's all right. I'm not
It's
used to
okay,
sitting
you're
in this
on.
chair.
So should I just speak from here? or-
Yes, that would, well, let's see.
Whatever you.
Yeah, this might have the back of your head. but-
Okay, I'll be, sorry about, okay. So they get to see the back. So my name is Ann Hartline, and I'm a resident of Bayside. Ever since the results of the November presidential election were announced, I've experienced a range of emotions, including shock, grief, and despair. I've struggled with feelings of hopelessness and helplessness, even though I know neither are particularly useful or constructive. Eventually, I have come to the realization that what I need to focus on now more than ever are the needs of the people in my beloved community, Humboldt County. I need to work to help make my home welcoming and safe for all the people who reside here. But how? Even when limiting my efforts to just this community, the task has seemed huge. And then last Saturday, I got an inspiration. I saw a front page article in the Santa Rosa Press Democrat. The article described how a letter had been written and signed by multiple Sonoma County agencies and elected and nonprofit officials to rally behind their immigrant community. The signees included state representatives, county supervisors, the county superintendent of schools, city council members from multiple cities, police chiefs from multiple cities, school board trustees from multiple school districts, college administrators and professors, and a wide variety of CEOs and executive directors from all kinds of nonprofits, providing healthcare, housing, legal aid, family assistance, on and on. 153 signatures in all. It is impressive and awesome. The Sonoma County community has come together to support everyone. And I realized that I wanted the same thing for Humboldt County. I found the text of the letter through a link in the article, along with the 4 typed pages of signees. The entire letter is great, but I was especially inspired by paragraph 2, which reads, "We assure our community that we will continue to stand firmly in support of our family members, friends, coworkers, and neighbors, no matter where they are from, what language they speak, who they love, or how they worship." Wow. I printed the letter and I have copies for all of you that I'll give you in just a minute. And then I modified the letter, kind of making the decision to take out some of the more specific political language to make the letter what I thought was more inclusive and relatable in Humboldt County. And I have copies of my modified draft for you as well that I'll hand out. So I'm here before you, the Human Rights Commission, to ask you to support this letter and to help spearhead a drive to obtain approval by elected officials and nonprofits throughout Humboldt County. I believe our community truly needs this, and I am convinced that the place to start is here with you, the Human Rights Commission. So what I have are my proposed letter is on the top, and then the stapled piece below it is the Sonoma County letter as I found it online with the 4 pages of signatures. So thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Wait till,
It's up to you. It's related to Measure K.
right, I think yeah, that was more general, so I think we will rule with. All right, any other non-agenda items we consider? Oh, Sean? No, that was just a thumbs up. Okay. All right.
May I do my,
Yes,
the one that I put off?
yes.
I will say, Anne is a friend of mine, and I am willing to do this whether the Human Rights Commission does anything about it or not. However, I would like to ask that this be put on our agenda for our next meeting, and that we think about supporting this letter and recommending that the Board of Supervisors support this letter as well. I would even, I mean, I want to see this happen as soon as possible. I would even try to go to a special meeting if we had that to talk about this, but I realize we can't discuss it today.
Right. And we can talk about it all. Because I was thinking, what this letter really reminded me of is the Patriot Act and the proclamation that the Board of Supervisors, actually the Human Rights Commission helped develop it, but it was and essentially that is exactly this kind of thing, proclaiming what this letter is proclaiming, and I think maybe that might be an avenue that we might want to be interested in pursuing. I don't know.
It's difficult and frustrating that we have to abide by the Brown Act very strictly. I hate to do that, but it's true. But our rapid response, this might be another opportunity to use that vehicle, because that doesn't have to wait until the next meeting.
Yeah.
So, yes, sir.
Yeah, I was gonna wait till we got to discuss the sanctuary. And I'll talk more about it when we get there, but just let Bird know. I have been in touch with Supervisor Wilson, and this is already in the works. That's the plan. Jim and I did meet, and we met correctly. We didn't do anything wrong with the Brown Act or anything, but I did contact him right away, asked him about, although we already got the original all the original document, what they approved for sanctuary over here, but all I know is, yeah, what is it, Measure K?
Measure K.
Measure K that was passed back in 2018, and he talked, is setting up, he said, he held it up because of Thanksgiving, but now that Thanksgiving is over, we're supposed to be meeting him, and I think one of the other secretaries or something to try to put something together.
It would be wonderful if there are other groups working toward this same thing, rather than reinventing the wheel. If we can piggyback with other groups doing it, that would be wonderful.
Yeah, I'm sure that Mike would definitely want to do that.
Good.
Nobody, at least, nobody I work with wants to reinvent the wheel. If it's there, we can adapt.
So without talking about it, I just want to say people need something positive to do now. And I think you put your finger exactly on that need. And I look forward to being able to talk about it.
I think, again, we'll put this on the next agenda, but if there are steps that are taken in between now and then, or then and now or whatever, we would be able to take some action at that time. Thank you very much. Okay, I hope I haven't missed anybody. All right. The next item on the agenda would be Correctional Facilities Liaison Report. Larry?
It's been very quiet, actually. We've got them 3 calls. I don't think we have any others, so, yeah. Like, no news is good news.
I guess.
So,
Okay. And the message line report for November 1st through the 15th would be Bert.
Yes, well, I reported some of it at the last meeting, but since that meeting, I had a couple more calls. Another call from the person who had left 6 or 7 messages. I never was able to get that person. I tried to call back, but I wasn't able to get it. And then there were a couple of calls, someone that needed the Zoom link, and someone wanted to, someone from the media wanted to talk with Jim. And I reported that.
And that was followed up on.
Yeah.
Okay, the 16th through the 30th was my period on the phones. It was very quiet, except for one person who called multiple times, left messages, but didn't give us any opportunity to return his call. He asked me to, or asked us to call his father, who did not want to share any information. Thank you, Ann. Thank you. Did not want to share any information with us at that time, so there was nothing more I could do. The next assignment, we don't really, unless you have something particular to report, Rick.
I can just bring
The first through the 15th.
date, yeah.
Sure.
Since I started, that there have been 3 messages that are related to incarcerated people. Those have been referred to. Had one from a person from basically Sanctuary Arcata, encouraging us to continue to support undocumented people, encouraged us to, to work in liaison with the sanctuary as far as making undocumented people feel safe in Humboldt County. I did not leave a detectable phone number, but anyway, I do want to report that I had one also from a person who just, it was, I tried to get back, I was not able to reach him, but who claims his mother is keeping him from eating and drinking and thinks that she is having a cognitive decline, isn't sure what to do. So anyway, if I get in contact with him, we'll follow.
The next, Ellen, do you have the names of the people that are up there?
I did not do well with them on the
minute, right?
Does anybody remember volunteering on 16th through the 30th?
It's me.
Larry on all of them, I think, is not correct.
Okay.
Well, that's good.
All right, Larry is up on the 16th through the 31st. We have 2 dates available after that, the 1st through the 15th of January and the 16th through the 31st of
Yeah,
January.
I'll do that first through the 16th,
Okay,
or the 15th.
And I'll take the 16th to the 31st.
okay, thank you. Write it down so I don't forget. Okay, the next item on the agenda is the Sanctuary Ordinance Committee. So I'll let Guy.
I just shared a little bit earlier, but I will share a couple other things real quick. I did send to, you always have their correspondence, but I figured talk about correspondence when it applies. I did talk to Fernando Paz over at HSU or Cal Poly these days, and the note that I had sent him originally was just telling him I hope he was doing well. In light of the recent election, I suspect we'll deal with more incidents. Please let me know of any upticks you might see. Took him a while before I got a response, but I did get a response that he will do that. So we are definitely in the mix to make sure that we hear things from him. And then he followed it up about a couple days later. And I don't know if everybody else is familiar, but Mo Harper, who was on the Human Rights Commission when I actually started, that disappeared shortly thereafter. She has just been appointed the new Equity Arcata manager with the city of Arcata and Fernando, and sent an introduction, and she wrote back, said, I think I know Guy already. So we're already making moves to try to do that. And as I mentioned, Jim and I did meet, and hopefully we're going to come up with something with Mr. Wilson. Because I think if I could find it real quick, so I don't hang up this meeting, because everybody wants to get out. About the earthquakes, but let me see if I can find it. But I was thinking of actually printing this out, but I didn't. But if I could. Send him some materials, but the gist of it is, I said, I'm hoping for a meeting with Measure K advocates to get some updates on how other communities are responding. This is Mike, so again, we won't hopefully do this. Is there something you can assist with? And I wrote him, absolutely. And then he said, let me connect with Natalie, and I forgot who Natalie is exactly.
Natalie Arroyo.
Okay, thank you. As she's in, let's work with Tracy from our office to see when we can schedule something. I will not be back until after Thanksgiving, so it's now. I will be bugging him. If there are responses from other communities that might be something we should be looking at, please feel free to forward them. I will be doing that tonight. So, I mean, we are moving. We're making an attempt to be proactive and also hopefully move beyond just words, because I know next month we're going to be having our annual celebration of Koromatsu Day, and the fact that, we basically sat on our hands from 110,000 plus Japanese Americans were interned, and I don't want to see a return of it. And I'm, saddened, because I know there were a lot of people that were upset, but they didn't do anything to allow it to happen. Yeah. So that's in a nutshell.
Okay, I apologize, Laura, for maybe not seeing your hand sooner, but do you have a comment?
Yes. So my name is Laura Norin, and first I want to thank you for your work here and just be another voice in support of the safety of all residents of our community. Designating Humboldt County a sanctuary county was an important step in providing protections for undocumented residents. But in light of the incoming president's stated intentions to round up immigrants, I'm afraid that the protections currently in place may be insufficient. Should there be federal roundups at workplaces, schools, or other public or private spaces, how can we as a community protect our neighbors? In responding to this question, I ask that you think broadly of all the resources available in this community because this is one of those times when we all need to come together and show up for each other. For example, the Human Rights Commission could establish a hotline for concerned citizens to notify the Commission of Federal Immigration Enforcement in the county. And when notified, the Commission could activate a volunteer rapid response team of local journalists, lawyers, law enforcement, and other interested residents to show up and non-violently intervene to prevent any such roundups and deportations and ensure the safety and integrity of our community. I encourage you to explore this idea and others that bolster the Measure K protections to actively protect the human rights of threatened members of our community. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Linda, I will get to you in just a moment. We do have one person in the audience today that has been sitting here. So if you'd like to go ahead and take a chair for a few minutes and share your thoughts.
Hi, thank you. My name is Daniel Zellman, and I'm proud to be a resident of Sanctuary County. I support the protection of all residents of Humboldt County, regardless of their immigration status. I'm here today because I fear that the election of Donald Trump may embolden some of our local law enforcement officials to cooperate with federal immigration enforcement, even though such cooperation is illegal, explicitly prohibited by both the Humboldt County Sanctuary Ordinance and the California Values Act, SB 54. Measure K makes it illegal for any department, agency, commission, officer, or employee of Humboldt County to use any county funds or resources to assist in the enforcement of federal immigration law. Similarly, SB 54 stipulates that no state or local resources may be used to assist federal immigration enforcement, and that our schools, hospitals, and courthouses are safe spaces for everyone in our community. I'm particularly concerned about our sheriff, who's on record not just as opposing Measure K, but also as identifying himself as a, quote, constitutional sheriff, unquote. For those of you who are not familiar, self-described constitutional sheriffs falsely claim that county sheriffs are the supreme legal authority within their jurisdiction, that federal and state government authorities are subordinate to county sheriffs and police, that the county sheriffs has the power to determine the constitutionality of the laws and ordinances they are entrusted with enforcing. In other words, they have the power, not the Supreme Court of the United States, but the county sheriff, according to these people who consider themselves constitutional sheriffs, and that they have the duty to refuse to enforce any law that they believe is unconstitutional. It's important to note that there is no legal basis for this assertion, and there's more than 200 years of legal precedent to the contrary. So I'm here to urge the Human Rights Commission to secure Sheriff Hansel's explicit assurance proactively in advance that he will abide by and enforce the Humboldt County Sanctuary Ordinance and the California Values Act. I would further urge the Commission to develop a detailed contingency plan for how to respond if law enforcement officers fail to enforce and/or obey Measure K or SB 54. Finally, I urge all Humboldt County residents to stand up for the rule of law and to support the human rights and civil rights of all of the members of our community. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next person would be Linda, please.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate the comments from the previous speakers, and going back to the open time for comments, I believe it was Sean McLaughlin that brought up the concern about the oversight committee who are seeing about the sheriff's department, and the sheriff has been outspoken in being against this, which makes me all the more wary about how the behavior and thoughts of him leading the department might be entering into this new era with a new federal administration. So I appreciate the previous comments of all, including I saw that same article that Ann Hartline had quoted from and felt really excited. I shared it with my friend Brenda Perez, who's the executive director of Centro del Pueblo, and she, I think, is going to be working within Centro to try and approach various entities of city and county representatives, as well as nonprofits, but as many people as possible that can be talking about this. I think it's important to have the immigrant community know that there are a lot of people out there that are supportive of Measure K and supportive of them being our neighbors and our friends and vital parts of our community. Pardon me. So if the Human Rights Commission is considering, steps to bring citizens into being part of rapid response in terms of watching and being citizen observers, I'm part of Women's International League of Peace and Freedom, and I'm also connected with some other groups that are community action groups. And so I think that we could, my group, the WILP group, is very small, but we have a pretty large mailing list, and we could draw from a number of people to be willing to go through trainings and stand up and be present for, just being witnesses if there's nothing else that we can do. Being witnesses about sheriff behavior, being witnesses about ICE, and just being present for people so that they know that they're not totally alone. Thank you for the work that you do. Appreciate it.
Thank you for your comments too.
Okay, that's the question.
Go ahead.
So this is my third meeting, so if I get it wrong, just,
We'll let you know.
so is it okay to ask whether like the board of supervisors at this point is taking this on directly? We talk about from a very high, not specific level, is what's happening around Measure K. And
Actually, there's a lot we can talk about, but it would have to be later in the.
okay, great.
Because we can't comment on comments that are offered. I wish it was another way around that, but there is.
No, thank you. That's what I needed to do.
Aren't we on that agenda item, the sanctuary ordinance?
No, we're just on the committee. And
Back.
that may be kind of a weird overlap because it is later in the agenda as well.
I did have a comment. Just our last speaker mentioned the Values Act, and that is referenced in the material that Anne gave. And it is part of the letter that has been signed by all those people and would be it's part of her customized letter for Humboldt County. So it's right there.
Good. Any other comment on this committee report? Okay. Obviously, there's pending rapid response information coming, but there wouldn't be anything at the moment. Before we go to any new business, which will include what we've just been talking about, we have our ad hoc committee reports. Cultural Awareness Indigenous People Committee.
Me. I haven't done anything. I totally forget each time. I need someone to remind me. However, their United Indian Health Services in the community to an open house on Monday from 3 to 6. It's the building opposite the Morris Graves, the big building, the white building.
Oh, that's new remodel there.
It's new, and we've asked, but we got people to name it, and they have, and it's called Zero GG. Then across, there's the parking lot across from Morris Graves. And then there's a white building, and we purchased that building as well, and it's our new dental building. So everybody's welcome to come and check it out.
What time?
From 3 to 6. We have asked the board supervisors, the city council, the mayor, legislative representatives, we don't know if they're coming, but UIHS is extending open house. We want to make sure that the people of Eureka are aware of UIHS, and everybody's welcome. There's going to be music. Also, we'll have we call them tabling. We'll have tabling from our different sites.
Okay, thank you, Carol.
Good night.
I have one announcement. As it while we're on this particular subject, I don't know if it hit the news yet. So I'll apologize to my tribe for spilling the beans, I guess, they had to have had some kind of but in any event, 3 tribes, coastal tribes, have signed the first treaty of its kind to steward the coastline to 3 miles out from, I would say, Crescent City all the way down to Little River, or down in that neck of the woods somewhere. I don't have the exact map, but Carol, did you hear about that?
Yes.
Okay. All right, great. So it's the very first time they didn't ask permission from anyone. They just did it. And so it's actually like I said, the first of its time of its kind event. So I did question whether or not that they should have gone beyond three miles, because my understanding is the the windmills are like 10 miles out, but because I really feel like that's an important thing to steward as well. The other thing I can say is we just applied for a grant with the EPA, and to bring in a land purchase that will encompass being able to do a lot of workforce development for minority communities in our area. So that's going to include food sovereignty. It'll include a lot of the stuff I'm doing with Hempcrete, workforce development stuff there. So we'll be looking and have our eye out for property to be able to develop this space. So we're in the Redwood Region Rise project that is developing workforce development in our community. So the other thing, and I don't know if this, I know this is cultural. I guess Jim, you'll have to tell me where to inject it. I sent Jim an email from some folks regarding, and then you guys may have, because I've missed some of these meetings, but October there was an assault on a non-Indigenous person, but it was a Black person that got assaulted by city police in Arcata. Did you guys discuss that at all?
No.
Okay. All right. He was feeding the homeless, and he ended up getting charged for doing that. So I sent you some information, Jim. I just giving you a heads up that it's in your email, and can share it so we can discuss it at the next meeting. But anyway, I know we're on cultural one. So anyway, I just wanted to share those tidbits about that. And Carol, I don't know if feel free to reach out to me anytime we want to have a meeting. I know it's been a difficult thing. It was hard for me too it's like herding cats. So anyway, okay.
Lisa, did you want to share about Trinidad Head, that you guys now have it in?
Oh, right. So so for those of you that don't know, that Trinidad Rancheria also received or transferred or successfully was able to put in trust the land that is known as, basically the pier area, which would be the pier, the restaurant, the little Airbnb above it, and all the way out through. We own about half the parking lot, so you'll see a lot of improvements going on in the city of Trinidad down there at the pier. So that's what because we now have in trust, and what happens when we're in trust is we don't have to deal with a lot of the coastal commission things to make improvements. So, but we still are, responsible for, following construction and engineering and all that kind of stuff. Yes, Bird.
Are you willing to share the names of the 3 tribes that,
Yeah, Trinidad Rancheria, Ray Seguini, and Smith River.
thank you.
Hulikla. They changed their name.
Yeah, that something. Yeah, I forgot what their new name is.
Hulikla.
Is it Pulik? But I thought they were the Yurok, something of the Pulikla. I don't know.
Oh, the Yurok people, I think.
But it's not.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a longer name. I'm trying to get Trinidad Rancheria to change their name right now. When I'm down here in Costa Rica and I tell them what I'm a part of, and they're like, Rancheria, that's Spanish, right? And so I'm poking fun at my tribe right now, so about that. But
God,
Yeah.
all right, thank you.
thank you.
I just wanted to tag on to the information. Lisa brought up a case back, sadly, about a year ago of a shooting in Hoopa, and of course, did bring it up to the sheriff when he was here. And of course, I didn't take him at his word. I don't need to apologize because I didn't say that, but I didn't take him at his word. I did contact Rob Wanta, our Attorney General, on the case to maybe light a little fire over there. And I did get a response. It's dated 2 weeks now, November 14th. And I won't read the whole thing, but just the last part. Just that the case is currently under investigation. I'm going to be hassling some more because I'm thinking, my God, is this relatively, I would think, a simple case? Why is this thing dragging from September of last year, not this year, last year? But it's, since we can't provide a further status update this time to stay apprised of status, check back on this page. They gave me a page to do that. So I will be harassing them some more over there on it. But I did want Lisa to know that, we are paying attention, and I think that's what we have to be doing is, keeping their feet to the fire, not let them think that, because, that's one of the concerns, going back to the sanctuary thing, Jim and I were talking about that when I looked at Measure K, I was shocked when I saw this section 9121-13, it said enforcement, and the permission, it says the enforcement of all this is our job. And I thought, why? We actually have some rights to do something. So, granted, it's not much, but it says we'll inform the agency being complained of and shall allow for comments and materials for all parties named in the complaint. We could file written reports to the Board of Supervisors. So again, something we need to do, but the other thing we need to do is hear from people like they're doing, so that we can do that. Because if they just keep it within their community and they don't share it, because again, just dealing with indigenous people, when we were on I was on the grand jury, and I know we were the first grand jury to do that. We did bugging the Board of Supervisors to have a tribal liaison, and it just keeps dragging and dragging. And I think we need to get on their case. Enough is enough. Come on, we need to be dealing with our Native communities and have that operational.
So you also may want to contact the Tribal Leaders Association.
Sorry. Yeah, you're right.
Garth Sundberg, the chairperson of Trinidad, sets the meeting, and it's here, but it's the tribal chairmen of all the northern tribes. And
Tribal Chairman's Association.
so if you got a letter from them if we got a letter from them in support of a tribal liaison.
Something to work on.
Yeah, I agree. There is a draft letter, Jim. I don't know if that ever got recirculated.
It did at one time, but I think it's time to send it out again so we can take a look. We'll make sure that it's on top of the next agenda for sure.
Right. So on a similar note, I just wanted to say, when we read our land acknowledgement, this is really kind of what we lean into because we are co-stewarding lands together, right? So what's important is that the tribes be at the table, and again, I've always said that when it's either where tribes there is either a liaison from the county and or some type of co-management of some sort. There has to be something, and I think that that's what maybe can be suggested in a letter that Carol is referring to have come out of the Tribal Chairman's Association. It's an opportunity for the tribes to also say how they would like to co-manage lands with the county and the cities and townships and whatnot. And collectively bring, I would say everyone bringing their resources together. One thing that just happened, because I'm on the Tourism Bureau, we're wanting to, we just detached from the county because the county doesn't have any money. So they can't keep Tourism Bureau together. And so they were going to do an assessment with whatever budget we had left. And so anyway, that whole thing is a good example of how tribes were really not featured so much in tourism, and should be. So, and that's some of the thing I'm bringing a voice to that. But anyway, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa.
Should we be extending the date for this
Yes,
committee?
I would suggest to 12/31/25.
Yes, I would, that's good.
Would have been missed, Bird. Thank you very much. Okay, the next committee report is technology. The only thing to report there is that Guy is willing to join me in becoming one of the administrators on our Facebook page so we can get it reactivated. So we'll be working on that between now and the next meeting. The next committee report would be free speech versus hate crimes. Rick?
Yes, so the committee met again, actually yesterday. And we had, I would say, a very productive meeting. We, Mary Galinas has proposed kind of a general outline of a possible workshop. What we spent a lot of time was trying to say, well, who is the audience that we want to address? And we talked about a number of groups, and that's one of our assignments for next time is to get together a wide variety of groups and say, well, who is it that we really want to talk to? And I think that we would like a variety of people. Some certainly like the League or the League of Women Voters, the Commission, the Interfaith Fellowship, but also some where there's going to be a little bit more variety and perspective. Some of the service organizations, Rotary Alliance, maybe Chambers of Commerce, people where there's going to be a little bit more diversity in what we're thinking, what we were talking about, and we're not, again, decided, but that we may have, say, 10 or 12 organizations that we invite, each of them asking to bring 3 or 4 members who are there, and then they have some within group discussions, and then some inter-organization discussions. So that's a little bit some of the thinking that we've been doing. We're also trying to focus a little bit more on what's the outcome that we want? What is it that we really want to accomplish in this? And a little bit for next time also, some of the sources of funding that we might apply to. Now, Molly Cade has gotten kind of a nice little beginning of a letter, set of ideas to present to funding agencies. So we are in the midst of it. The beginning is long past, the end still seems to be a ways away, but we are making progress in traveling this particular route.
I just had one of the things that Mary talked about was research that shows that if there are perhaps 2, 3, 4 people from a specific group that come together, that is, they're more likely to remember and to spread what they learn, more than if it's just one person from a group. And that's why we were looking at groups and saying, invite them to come up with 3, possibly 4, probably 3 as much as possible, but asking them to come up with the people and hope that they will also pick a little diversity within their group.
Any questions for Rick? Thank you. Next committee is homeless behavioral health. Anything to report there?
No, and just a couple things just to mention, again, maybe to also extend that to 2025. And what I hope to do, we didn't meet, but maybe the first of the year need to compose some kind of letter to board, because we haven't done that in a while, dealing with the new housing that's getting approved all over this county, and make sure that they're going to be dealing with, you know, people of lower income and not just lip service to that. The other thing we might want to be addressing, because this, of course, is still a recurring problem with our law enforcement, is, you know, kick the can down the road. They break up a count and send them all over the city and county, and then they show back up again. It just keeps cycling. And so, you know, I forgot the direct quote all the time about, you know, doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. We're not getting a different result. We're getting the same thing. And I do recognize it's a broad problem. You're not going to get everybody willing to agree, even among the homeless. But we need to get on board again to bother it. So I'm going to try and compose something and be in January. We'll talk about that.
Okay. The next committee is the Youth Human Rights Commission. Because Jamie isn't here, there won't be a regular report. However, I can tell you that in addition to the members of the Academy of the Redwoods, which is primarily focused on Fortuna, the Eureka has a contingent now that is wanting to explore something similar. So they're going to be invited to the next meeting to see if we can broaden this interest out. We don't want one school or group to dominate the other, but we'll see how that works out. At least there is growing interest in the subject. Yes, Bert.
I think that this might be a place where we could propose to them this thing for the you know, the letter that we're talking about as something that they might be able to get their teeth into as a specific thing and support. That might be, you know, something that they would all be willing to look at and talk about, so that they have, you know, a specific item they're looking at. And I think it would be very good if we had young people signing that as well.
Their next meeting is the 12th of December.
And where is it? Still in that?
At the Multicultural Center at College of the Redwoods.
That
Same place we
same
met
room.
before. Yeah. And that's at 4 o'clock.
4 p.m.
Yes, sir.
I think I can also add that is that Jamie and her group made an application to the Humboldt Area Foundation, to enter the youth leadership fund. They were fully funded for the request they made. So that gives them a little bit of a foundation. Oh, great.
The next item on the agenda is neutral observers. I can kind of take the lead there. Jamie was going to provide us with some contact information, but the gist of our meeting was that we realized that legal observers, which already exist and are trained, probably negates the need for us to create a group of our own. However, we did express an interest in offering the services of individual members of the commission to serve as legal observers after they get trained. So I hate to say I forgot his last name, but Tony is going to get us the information that we need to follow up and show our interest in serving on their group. So it wouldn't be something led by the Human Rights Commission, but they welcome our participation.
And they have 30 observers signed up right now. But they do, actually, he said that if, there are some interest of commissioners that joining them, that definitely they would be welcome to come to the training. And apparently, was the National Legal Lawyers Guild is the provider of the training.
It is something like that.
Yeah.
I don't recall the exact information, but I hope we'll hear something well prior to the next meeting.
Yeah,
so
we can get that information because they
Right.
do have some material that we were.
Right.
So-
Yes,
Have a
Carol.
comment with that. Do we know where in Humboldt County are probably the communities that may be affected with the new administration? For example, do we know where the Hispanic Mexican population is? Do we know where, I don't know, any other community that might be affected by the removal? And then for me, that would be, if you knew where they were, the legal observers would be aware and could be available if there's a need. If they start to remove individuals.
I'm not sure you're going to find a geographical.
But I think we know, like, Fortuna,
Yes.
Garberville, those areas have a higher concentration.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't know about northern Humboldt.
There should be some census material that we could probably get.
That would be-
Of course, that's probably,
2020 census.
I know this topic is going to bleed over into the next item, but Peter?
So that's slightly different, maybe, than legal observers. And there's something that's happening in a lot of low-income communities called Cop Watch. People probably know about Cop Watch. But I was at a meeting with pillars of the community in San Diego, in southeast San Diego. And Cop Watch is very active there. And what happens, the police just be standing there, and 12 police cars will come in and stop every car coming into an intersection. And one cop goes up to the door and the other one stands behind like this. So they've seen him there, doesn't have the gun out. And they shake down every car. Well, the Cop Watch is organizing these people in the community that they're trained. They're just immediately witness out, and they're confronting the police saying, why are you doing that? Under what jurisdiction are you doing that? And the police will say things, oh, you don't want us to police your community like you would police any other community. That's not what you're doing. And it creates a dialogue between the communities and the police. It's actually stunning watching it. It's incredibly effective. But it isn't about just any random group. It's the people in the community. And there's probably places here where we have enough concentration. Now, people have to be interested. They have to think that that brings them more safety than it brings them risk. So, you know, it plays both ways. It comes down to individuals. But there may be a role, there's enough organization that exists that there might be a role to investigate that.
You think that would be part of legal observers or
I don't.
separate?
I don't. I think it's a very different sort of activity.
Kind of leads us back to
Okay.
where we started.
You know,
And
actually,
there was one
thing
thing.
back.
We had
But
a
the
cop
deal-
watch.
Yeah, the deal is it's gotta be the people in the community. You can't be me going up and doing that. I got invited to participate. That's only because I was there once. Yeah, sad. So, yeah, it's culturally grounded community action. And I think where that's happened around the country, everywhere it's reduced bad outcomes.
So Jim, with Peter's suggestion of investigating this role, and if we are going to eliminate neutral observers, maybe this could be a committee to look at cop watch.
So,
We'd have to put it on the agenda.
right, so we can convert this to a cop watch ad hoc committee. And it would, well, Larry, you want to give it a,
I feel pretty uncomfortable about that, quite frankly, at this point. I think in general, one person's feeling it, but, you know, we have some, issues here, but in general, we've got a lot of very good, well-meaning, hardworking, honest individuals that are in that profession. And, you know, it's stereotypes. Cop watches, they're it really kind of brands all, it seems to brand all the cops and what barrel. So I don't know. That's my personal feeling.
well, I, given the proper protocols, we probably should have this as a discussion item at the next agenda, on the next agenda. But discontinue the neutral observer concept and discuss what other concept we might want to include, including this.
Yeah, you could call it community witnessing. And here it might have more to do with ICE than the local police.
Yeah.
It's called cop watch in San Diego because the cops bring it down on them.
And San Diego is one of the only cities in the state that has a law enforcement review board that actually has lawyers and it's funded by the city.
This came out of the same people. Same people who organized and did cop watch. Also got rid of their city council person, shifted the balance of the city council in San Diego. It's not a paid staff member. It's entirely community based.
Yeah, I just wanted to maybe follow up a little bit with Larry. I would be a little, I like the idea of our bringing neutrality to come to conflicting situations. And the word cop watch kind of raises that we already know who the guilty party is, or that we're looking just for the bad cops. But I think I would not want to lose the idea that we are here to, in a sense, be neutral, but to really watch, to monitor and to be present for whatever goes on.
Watch for bad actors. Right.
I think Peter was first and then third.
I like the suggestion of referring it back to the committee that you were talking about. It's unfortunate that I use the word cop watch, which is what it's called, where I witnessed it. It is something different. It's not neutral. In the sense, for example, we have Proposition K. It would be citizens trained to respond to threats on Proposition K. And that's citizen response, trained citizen response. But it's not paralegal. right? It's a different sort of engagement. And there's a lot of that's been done in Denver. Denver, the safety of the new immigrants went up. This is by massive amounts. It really is transformative in Denver. And there's a lot of information about this work and how it's made unsafe communities safer. But I think that's a bigger discussion.
Yeah.
And please forget that I ever said copper. Here's the thing, an old Quaker concept of witnessing, and it's much more than witnessing. Yeah.
I'm reluctant to give out the name neutral observers. Because I think what we really want is people who are neutral, observing things that are happening in our community. Whoever is doing whatever, we need to be neutral. And so I don't want to give up neutral observers. I'm willing to give up legal observers or whatever, because that's being done by somebody else, and anybody who wants to be part of that can do that. But for what we're doing, I want to keep that committee and start discussing all the different ways that we might be neutral observers or set up some kind of neutral observing program.
And perhaps like Larry said, find out who the bad actors are on any side. You know, I mean, just to kind of stop us and stop the divisiveness that we're feeling.
Yes, sir.
I'll second what Bert's talking about, is what I would like to see us do as neutral observers, perhaps, is talking about this issue, is if we could become more knowledgeable about not only with Measure K, but just in general, you know, perhaps we could actually be doing presentations to the local police about what they should or shouldn't be doing. Because, you know, it's a touchy issue. I mean, I've taught constitutional law at school, and I know immigration is a federal job. And, you know, we talked about a little bit of it over there. Our hands are largely tied if they come in over here. It's the federal government's state, but we can at least direct and educate people of how they can respond, at least, so that we don't have incidences where, you know, people just because they look different are going to be pulled over by the police or harassed by the public in general, because it's not just the police that you have to worry about. You know, it's people in general that, you know, look at people, give them a sideways glance, and it's like, we need to educate everybody.
Our challenge is that time is not on our side. But this will be definitely put on the next agenda to have this robust discussion about what it is we want, what it is we don't want, regardless of what the legal observers group.
Keeping that ad hoc committee for the moment.
Yes,
Thank
I
you.
would like to do one thing. I'd like to add one person to that committee, if you're willing. Peter will be added to that committee. Thank you.
Good.
Moving on to, the next item is actually what we were just discussing, the legal observer participation, so we don't need to go through that anymore. We have one more opportunity under unfinished business to address the difficulties that we had with a couple of our own members who retired or resigned unhappily with us. Or with me, I'm not sure which it mostly is, but because of their gender identity, it was believed that we might be able to educate ourselves better if we're going to try to represent the whole community, we need to understand how at least parts of that community wish to be viewed. So Queer Humboldt is willing to do a free training for any members of the commission that would like to attend. In this particular kind of case, it is not a violation of the Brown Act for more than 5 of us to be together at one time for this training. I spoke with Lark Doolin this afternoon, and he is ready to schedule trainings at a time and place of our choosing. If it's in person, that's one thing. If it's Zoom, that's another. He does not believe that a hybrid format is good for this kind of training. So we should decide whether we want to do it in person or on Zoom. And if so, how many people would be interested? And what kind of time frame could we hope to try to set up? Bird went first, then Larry.
No, I'm interested.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. All right, so Bird is interested. Larry, you're interested. Carol?
Give you some possible dates.
Well, he was hoping to hear from us as to some times that appeared to be best and which format he preferred.
And how do we have any kind of an idea of the length of
I think it's about 90 minutes. It's not really all that long.
Is it possible to maybe append it to a Human Rights Commission meeting before or after?
I don't know why not. I would like that myself.
You know, it would
Would
be,
be here anyway.
they're here, yeah.
Well, add you to it, yeah.
But after I do a meeting, it makes a lot of sense.
Well, do you want to try for the January 2nd meeting then?
To have it before or after the meeting.
Oh, I think before.
Okay, good.
That's what I would
That's what
prefer.
And would we have a room?
I don't, yes, we could. So that would work out quite well. Now, do we want it in person or do we want it on Zoom? He prefers it.
If we're coming here.
We may as well have it in person. Okay.
Jim, can I just maybe, have you confirmed that the planning commission will meet on January 2nd?
Yeah.
I have not confirmed it, but I also haven't been notified that they're putting it off. I will check on that to
Yeah,
make sure there's no.
that is kind of in the back of my mind thinking that if they're not here, we're not here.
You know, that's true. Okay, I'll find out tomorrow. Okay, we have 6 people interested. More can join in. If you wish to join the group, let me know and I'll let Mark know that this is our tentative date. So
It'd be a,
if we meet at 5:30,
4 o'clock.
3:30,
3:30.
and it give time for a slight break between the two. Hey, if anybody has a major problem with time and timing on this, let me know so I can pass that on to him. I have made a mistake. Under new business, I did not include the sanctuary subject. We've talked about it somewhat. I don't know if at this point there's any additional discussion we need to take place.
We have possible action, under the sanctuary ordinance. So I think we could take action under that if we want to.
Because that's on the agenda.
It's on the agenda, discussion, possible action.
Okay, well then, yeah, thank you. Well, I don't know if there's additional steps you wish to take. I think I know of one that I would like to take, and that's to meet with Sheriff Hansen. I think no matter what he says, we need to hear it. If he's a constitutional sheriff, I'd like him to say to me or to us what he means by that and how he intends to work with that. I have a decent relationship with him, but that doesn't mean we politically agree necessarily. Larry?
I'll go with you.
Okay,
I thought you would invite him here to a meeting as
he
well.
was just at one of our meetings, what, 2 months ago?
Couple of months ago.
You said he
We
could
could invite him again.
said he'd come back to every meeting. We want-
Oh, well, that'd be better.
Yeah.
We can get him.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll invite him.
Get him.
Yeah, that's,
Would it be good to have a member of the board of supervisors joining us at that meeting?
Can ask Mike.
well, then you're getting not only the police viewpoint, but the county, and that's their ordinance.
Yeah.
I like that idea. Any particular member? Mike?
Yeah, he's already shown some interest in doing something like that, so he's taking the lead right now at the board, so
Maybe
let's put him on the spot.
Okay, we will invite,
Mike Wilson.
It might be hard to get
Guess with three.
come.
well, we'll find out. Huh?
Yeah.
Well, we'll invite both of them to the January 2nd meeting.
Yeah, try Natalie too.
I think that would be a good choice too. You want 2 supervisors or just 1?
I think two.
And the meeting,
This has to do with power and structure.
Yeah.
Right, okay. Well, that's a good first step. Are there any other things that you believe we should be doing at this point? All we can do is try to anticipate what's going to happen. We don't know.
Kind of prepare ourselves with questions and stuff.
Well, I mean, beyond that, just what's going to happen in the country and in the county. I wish we could tell that in advance. I'm not sure they have a plan, but
We're all going to Coach League.
Hey, Jim.
yes,
Do we have any, I know we had a couple of, sanctuary city comments earlier. I would like to see us take some action on them. It's a really big, it's a concerning issue for a lot of people, and I keep hearing about this issue, and if we're going to support them, it would be us doing it to get, the whole sheriff, would they say about his claiming constitutional powers? Something like that.
as a constitutional sheriff.
Yeah, what does that mean?
Would you like to address that?
Yeah, this is Daniel again. I have some references I can give you that some websites and other information on it I can give you. There's an association, and I'm no expert. But there's a national association called the Constitutional Sheriffs and Law Enforcement or Police Association. It's a movement that somebody just started. I don't even know who started it. It's and they, again, my understanding of their assertion is that they believe that federal and state government authorities are subordinate to county sheriffs and police, that county sheriffs are the supreme legal authority within their jurisdiction, that individual county sheriff or police officer has the authority to determine the constitutionality of laws and ordinances and to refuse to enforce those laws if they think that they are unconstitutional. It's a highly problematic, in my view, viewpoint for law enforcement to have, that they can just sort of decide that they don't like a law and not enforce it. But I can provide some additional information and documentation. You can keep that about, where you can find out more information about the organization. And I have the citation of Sheriff Hansel explicitly stating, "I am a constitutional sheriff," quoted, I think it's in the North Coast Journal or the Lost Coast Outpost, as well as his opposition to Measure K, which is well known. That just seems like a frightening combination.
I'll get you just in a second, Linda. I did just look up Constitutional Sheriffs and Peace Officers Association, and it was founded in 2011, has 4,500 members. I haven't had a chance to look at it in more detail, but it does basically back up what you're saying at this point.
Well, Wouldn't that also include his ability to not comply with the federal government in enforcing deportation? Because I know that during COVID, it was a big deal. We weren't even supposed to be on the beaches. I don't know if you remember that, but he's the one, or I don't know, whoever the sheriff was at that time didn't run people off the beach, pretty much.
And he was in office at that time.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go to Linda here for a second.
Yep, sorry.
That's all right.
Oh, that's okay. Thanks. I think in addition to just asking what the sheriff means by being a constitutional sheriff, maybe you could check with the county council and see, what are the sideboards for the sheriff? I mean, he can't be just a renegade sheriff and deciding what's enforceable and what isn't at a whim. There's legal provisions that he needs to, stand within. And so maybe the county council could offer some advice.
That's very good idea. Bert,
Daniel, if you know this, have there been any legal actions against members of this group or the group as a whole?
I don't know.
You don't know.
I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Guy in Texas who was the national star of all of this got voted out of office. So that's been one consequence. What's happened outside of that's a good question. Yeah.
Well, you can, in our state constitution for misfeasance or malfeasance, you can remove these people. So it's just whether you have the guts enough to do that. It's obviously,
Well, and how much you
big
believe
fire.
it too. Right. There's always a range of people like set up beliefs. So.
Is their membership public?
No. They keep their membership very tightly held. I did a lot of exploration on the website to see if I could figure that out.
Yeah.
And their funding is also very opaque.
it's not encouraging. Bert,
We talked a little bit about maybe having a letter, a rapid response letter about the transfer of the indigenous land. Talked about that earlier.
Yes.
Are we going to do that, or does that have to go to our next meeting? What is?
that can be handled by the rapid response. And if you provide some,
Yeah, that's, I did give you stuff. I just wondered if we had to direct you or whatever.
just remind me. I need direction too.
I was just wondering if there was any information about, besides the transfer of the facilities and there was all kinds of trails and public access out there. Are they going to be taking over the responsibilities to continue that, or do we even know?
I did send this to you, but there's a release about this.
Well, we're kind of getting two subjects confused here.
That's all right. I can find out.
Send this on to Jim to add to the things I sent you before.
Okay, thank you. Well, we've had some good suggestions. There will be an invitation going out to Sheriff Hansel and to Supervisors Wilson and Arroyo to attend. And that'll be the January 2nd meeting if everything works out well. And a communication with the county council, or in our case, it's a her. She can give us an opinion on what we believe the guardrails are for any sheriff, not just ours. And any other comments or ideas? Yes.
So that constitutional sheriff idea is really a sidebar to the issue about Measure K, right?
It is.
And because, as Linda pointed out, he could choose to be a constitutional sheriff and support Measure K, right? I mean, it's not the two, wouldn't that be fun, right? But it seems like that is a sidebar, you're not being asked to talk about being a constitutional sheriff.
No,
We
it's
will
just
ask about that.
one aspect that would be covered, yes.
Maybe another rapid response should be just a reiteration of, the sanctuary city, the ordinance, and what our role is in it. Just to remind people that we have this, we are a sanctuary county, and these are the things that people are supposed to do, including what our role is.
Is this letter? Phyllis?
Sorry.
Oh, that's another issue. Okay. All right, yes, sir.
I promise this is the last one, but does it make any sense to ask the people, jurisdictions who voted on it before to consider re-voting? Right, the conditions now are so different than when it was first passed, that the type of public engagement that might lead to it being re-voted on, at least engaged publicly, might do more to raise the visibility of the issues.
It was a measure that was sponsored by the community. I don't know how that was done or who was involved.
I would be reluctant to do that because what if it was voted down?
It was voted down, it was voted down. I mean, I think that's the danger of America today.
Yeah, I think we want to keep it, keep what we have if we want it. I think we should keep it, but I think reminding people that it's there and our role and the county's role and reminding people they all have a role in it. And that can come back to this letter, that we're trying to come up with for, everybody being safe and, every resident of this county being safe. Tied into that is the letter.
One of my concerns is that this Measure K has been on the books for 6 years. And there's been virtually no activity in terms of complaints or communication on the whole subject. And, on the one hand, you're kind of glad that that's the case, but on the other hand, we don't know what the community needs unless the community speaks up. And that could be interest groups on behalf of immigrants, or it could be immigrants themselves. We need to encourage the public to communicate with us, whatever their concern is, so that we can help. Or if we can't help, we can find those people that can.
We do that by reminding them about it, what it is, and everybody's role in it.
I would do a lot more than that. I think that's the beginning.
Starting point. Okay. Any other comments on the subject? It's like we have a lot of work to do.
And we do have the letter that Anne proposed for the agenda next time.
Right. Next item on the agenda is future agenda items. So why don't we review what we have decided to take on? Anybody help me?
Well, Anne's letter, I think for starters, is one that we wanted.
Okay,
Rapid response to the Friends of the Dunes transfer,
Friends of Dunes.
transfer. Yeah, right.
Sanctuary will no doubt be on the agenda again. Any other items at this time?
We could get that tribal letter out. I'd appreciate it. To the, I think we probably should, well, at least get the draft going and who we should address it to. So why don't we just recirculate the letter and we can go from there at the next meeting, who it should go to or how we should approach it. Thank you.
I would like to see on the agenda something that has to do with the training, because we have the training and there might be something that we want to talk about, something we want to do from it.
You mean
So
where,
I think that should be on our agenda.
Another item that was mentioned was a draft letter to the Board of Supervisors regarding the tribal liaison.
Yes, sir.
I was just wondering, Rick, do we at a point where we could tentatively, because we're looking for some funding sources for our workshop.
Yeah.
If we want to, see if we can get some funds from the county or some of the money that we have.
Well, maybe we could put that on to see what ideas we as a commission have on what would be a good strategy, a good approach. Is that what you're thinking?
Well, yeah, or if we're just at the point that, the commission has already given their, kind of support for the
Concept, yeah.
yeah, for the concept, and so I was, and it's going to be fairly, what we're envisioning is, there's gonna be a significant amount of funds involved, and I was just thinking, can we get the commission to say, hey, we'll support up to, $1,000 or some amount.
Mm-hmm.
That's part of could be part of the committee report. Doesn't have to, I don't think it has to be a special item on the
Okay,
agenda. It's
okay.
just part of, as long as it says possible action.
Okay, any other items that we need to discuss this evening? Want to thank the public guests that are both here and online. Thank you for being with us tonight. We will call the meeting adjourned at this time. We'll meet again January 2nd, tentatively about 3:30 in the afternoon. So we'll let you know.